So we're heading into Rohatsu on Thursday night. In the Zen tradition, Rohatsu is the anniversary of the Buddha's Enlightenment. So it's typically celebrated on December 7th, and you sit through the night, kind of like an all-night meditation retreat. And in the morning is, according to the old text, that's when the Buddha had like his big awakening, his enlightenment experience. Comes around to this idea of the middle way, or like the middle path. So he starts off as this young prince in this city state in India, and he's got this life of like excess, essentially. He has everything that he could want. He has 3 palaces, apparently. Money's not an issue, all of the finest things. So he's kind of got this, he's raised within this bubble of like pleasure and excess. He leaves this palace life behind. He then tries these different practices of the day. So he's practicing with these different meditation teachers, and he's not quite finding like what he's looking for. And he then starts to do these ascetic practices. And there are these different statues of the Buddha, like where he's basically skin and bones. And he gets really big into fasting. So he's barely eating anything. He's skin and bones. He talks about how he can like feel his backbone through his belly. And in the middle of this ascetic practice, he realizes that actually that doesn't work either. Like his mind's not getting any more clear. He feels like he's on death's door. So it's like the path of excess doesn't really work for him. He leaves that behind. And then the path of like asceticism, basically being really tough on your body, torturing your body essentially, he realizes that that doesn't actually work either. This way doesn't work, and neither does this way. So he's kind of at a loss for what to do. And a couple of things happen at that time, but he basically decides that it's about the middle path or the middle ground. So he starts to eat again, and he washes his body in the river, apparently. So he starts to look after his body. He starts to eat again, and apparently he starts to feel like his strength coming back. At that point, he makes this strong resolution, this strong resolve to stay put in that practice place until he finds what he's looking for. So he makes this like strong resolve, or like this vow to stay put in this place of practice by this tree, by this river, until he finds what he's looking for. About the importance of like trusting yourself, like not just believing what other people say, but this image of like being a lamp unto yourself, and like really validating, like it's through the direct experience of the practice that you go through, that we go through, that we find what we're looking for. It's never going to be something that somebody says and that we're like, okay, yeah, I believe that. That's a good case. They're making a good case. It's really about like what we find to be true in our practice, in our meditation. So at this point, he's really sitting under the tree and he's like going for it. Like he's not going to listen to this outside stuff. Yeah, he had this memory of when he was a kid, and he's going to kind of use that practice of being with the breathing, being mindful, and he's going to kind of dive into his own practice and try to find what he's looking for. And so he meditates through the night, different watches of the night, the different periods of the night that he essentially goes through. And basically they are aspects of him facing himself. So when we're practicing, same kind of thing. We've got our own stuff that comes up that's going to be totally unique to each one of us. And essentially, it's a matter of being there with that stuff without shying away from it or avoiding it or turning away from it. And it's about kind of letting that play out and letting that release and not being identified with that stuff anymore. And he's meditating along with the mountains, along with the forests, along with the river, the grasses, the trees. He's there with the world. He's there in nature. He's there as the universe. And he's kind of just, there's an openness, there's a quality of acceptance, letting whatever needs to arise and pass through him to do so. The first one often is seen as greed. Greed, it's like wanting, like craving, attachment. It's the stuff that we're like going for. It's the stuff that we think is going to make us whole or complete. And basically it means we're like operating from a place of lack. There's this sense that, oh, the way I am right now, for some reason, I have this habit of thinking that I'm not quite whole. But he sits through them. He lets that stuff come and go. He doesn't shy away from it. And at the same time, he doesn't suppress it or bottle it up. So during the second watch of the night, that stuff flows through and he kind of finds freedom. He comes to a place that's free from that stuff. Not that it's not there, but for whatever reason, it's like not, it doesn't have the stickiness that it did. The other one is, the first one actually, first watch of the night, typically is like aversion. Aversion. Sometimes it's seen as hatred or aversion, I think is a better way to think about it. And those are the things that we're like trying to get away from. Like we don't want anything to do with that. So they say that during that first period of the night, he's got the stuff that's scary or the stuff, the anger, stuff that he doesn't want to accept as being part of reality. So he basically is sitting through the aspects of himself that he wants to kind of get away from, or the stuff that has an aversion to. And that's just kind of like a confusion, I guess, seeing yourself as, like he's seeing himself as this very solid, fixed, everlasting thing. Maybe he's kind of in this world of like alienation versus like opening up to everything a little bit more. Maybe the walls are up. And he passes through that phase as well during the third watch of the night. So they say that then in the morning, the morning star fading into the dawn's light, that's like his trigger. He's in this really open place. And for whatever reason, that's when he has his big shift. That's when he has his opening, his enlightenment experience. So that's really what we're celebrating, because then that kind of gets passed down. Everybody's got their own path. Everybody's got their own stuff they need to go through and open to. Everybody's got a unique road that they travel, but just that possibility is there for a human being. And there's people who are sharing how to practice and how to kind of have that transformation happen in others. So coming to a place where he's coming back home to what he is. He's coming back home to his truth, recognizing that this freedom isn't something that's going to be out there in the future. It's not something that's going to be apart from him. It's not something that's apart from us. It's a matter of just kind of coming back and recognizing that it's what we are. It's who we are. And it's just a matter of like coming into alignment with that again. The Buddha says, all arising and passing away, all conditioned things are arising and passing away. Seeing this deeply brings the greatest happiness and peace. So he's seeing things not as like fixed, solid blocks, frozen stuff, but actually he's seeing everything as arising and passing away moment by moment. And like when we're meditating and we're able to be there with the moments as they come and go, like as we arise and pass away each moment, there's kind of like a freedom and a happiness and like a softness, like a letting go that happens in the midst of all of that. We don't hold on to life as tightly as we typically would when we see things from this more clear point of view as flowing. Like everything's like a river, like a stream. Even these moments right now, they're like a stream. They're like a river. There's a flow to them. The universe is breathing me. The universe is listening to itself through my ears, through our ears. The universe is watching itself through our eyes. The universe is knowing itself through our brains. Then suddenly there is this, only this. So having this all-night meditation retreat, be great if you could join us. Even if you just meditate till midnight with us, it can be a really nice, there's different groups, Zen groups over across the world who are sitting through the night. It's a really nice way of connecting with other sanghas and just kind of putting yourself in that stream of that lineage of awakening. It's